Good evening, family. Welcome to another edition of Thorough Black Talk with your sister Keisha, your brother Tad, and your brother Ashe SJ. And brother Blacksmith will be joining us shortly. I hope you all have had a great week thus far. Hope everything is going well with you. Had to rush in here, you know, almost didn't make it, doing so many different things. But we got a lot to discuss tonight. So I hope you all are ready to join us in this conversation. We was off last week. Shout out to the family. I hope all of you found something pleasurable to do with your Thursday evening while we were on a hiatus last week. I had to take exams and, you know, Brother Tad doing things, Brother Ashe doing things, and also, I had a hike last week with some young people, and we're going to get into that a little bit. So I was tired and exhausted. My brain was exhausted, my body was exhausted, and I'm still trying to get my bearings together. Had a little getaway this past weekend with my sisters of SWAP. Shout out to the SWAP team. We will be doing our regular community service this Mother's Day, with a domestic violence shelter here where we reside. It's something that we do every year, and we will continue it this year. So that's what we'll be doing this weekend. And then next weekend, the community has some other events that we're going to get into, and some of you might be interested in. So I'll wait for my brother Tad and my brother Ashe SJ to get in here so we can discuss those things. But tonight, family, we want to talk about Black women, you know, the creator of life, the first, the one, the only Black mother. We got to salute us and ourselves and our legacy, because now, today, you have people who are trying to steal our birthright, who have legally gained the right to steal our birthright. So we're going to discuss all of those things tonight and some other things that have been going on in the news. Take off a couple of days and things go haywire. What is this in Arkansas? Trying to take over the Juneteenth event, and all the judges is white folks. I mean, this is crazy, but that's what you get when you incorporate other people and other entities into our cultural realm. We got to keep people out of our cultural realm. We do not engage with others when it comes to their cultural realms. You don't see Black people wanting to be in the forefront of Chinese New Year. You don't see Black people in the forefront of trying to take over St. Patrick's Day. You don't see Black people in the forefront trying to take over I don't know, anybody else's ethnic holidays or traditions. But when it comes to us, it seems that everybody can stick their foot in our business, and we're going to have to put a stop to all of that, and claim our birthright, sisters, as the originators of life. We cannot allow people in the legislative process to undermine and undergird our birthright. It's very important that you maintain that. When you give up your birthright, you nullify your ability to fight for anything related to you. You nullify your own ability to fight legally. And we have to be careful how we place votes and what we get involved in because it is becoming very, very, very dangerous. So, what's up, Sister Fondest? How you doing? What's up with that Twitter stop? What's good with it? Talk to me. What's going on? What's been happening? I don't know. Elon got people in the uproar, sis. I don't know. Sister Joyce, Brother Monty on the check-in. Glad to be back. Glad to be black, Sister Joyce. Yes, yes, yes. Give my love to Brother Monty. Always the best to you too. You know, you my big brother and big sister. That's like the auntie and uncle. They be giving me the real. So you gotta have that. Sister Marie, hope everything is well with you in your neck of the woods. I saw some videos that you posted with some of your students. Loved it, loved it, loved it. You know, you are in a very unique position, Sister Marie, to be an educator of our children, to be the first memorable teacher in their lives. That's critical. So, my hat off and salute to you because this country disrespects teachers. This country called teachers heroes last year. But this year, they taking their employment away from them because they refuse to be jabbed up. So salute to you, salute to all the teachers um, in the school system, in the public school system, who have to battle the bureaucracy that ties their hands, if you will. So I want to give a shout out to all the teachers out there. Um, stop voting for these folks that claimed you were their heroes and now you a foe and now they take your employment away from you. The shenanigans with that, I'll tell you. Yeah, since I don't know, but I got a couple. But Elon said he paying 54 plus per share. I don't know. I'm holding on. I'm holding the line, sis. I'm holding the line. BK in the building. If you missed last night's episode with Brother Trust Graham, it is on the Thorough Black Talk Radio Facebook page. You can catch the replay of that and also the great, great presentation that the history hitman, Brother Mike K. Graves himself put on about the history of the Democratic Party, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because I feel that if our people really understood the history of the Democratic Party, and connected the dots to what's happening today, they can clearly see that they are being led astray with that party. Yes, Brother Ray Ray, I just said that. It's on, you posted it on YouTube and we reposted it on our Thorough Black Talk Facebook page for those who want to view BK William McVie Jr. History Club videos. They are always on the Thorough Black Talk page. And also New Day Liberation. Shout out to Empress Filet. You can catch them every Saturday at 10:30 p.m. And you also get the replays on the Thorough Black Talk Facebook page. So let's get into it, shall we? Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about is an article that was sent to me last week, I believe it was. Yes, last week. You had a situation where you have a panel of judges for a soul food festival. Now, a panel of judges for a soul food festival for Juneteenth. Now, it was discovered that this panel of judges were all white folks, right? And so the people was like, nah, we ain't with it. We ain't with it. And hopefully Sister Amanetta will be on the check-in and she can give us the 411, excuse me, what that's all about. But here it is, family. Let me just go through this. It says Juneteenth Soul Food Festival in Arkansas canceled following reveal, get that out of the way, of entirely white panel of judges. Now, first of all, let me just go through this real quick. A Juneteenth Soul Food Festival was canceled after a flyer for the event revealed an all-white panel of judges. The festival was scheduled for June 17th in Little Rock, Arkansas, on June 17th, but has since been shuttered after the flyer was leaked and widely panned on social media, according to Salon. Three white featured hosts. Here you go. Here you go right here, family. And they got the nerve to say, save the date. I mean, this is insanity. This is insanity. But that's what happens when you involve everybody in your business. And on top of that, you inviting everybody to the damn cookout. How is this possible? Well, I do know how it's possible. They got to stick their nose into everything that we doing. And we seem to be fine with it. I'm glad that the good citizens of Little Rock, Arkansas told them to kick rocks and keep it moving. I mean, because this is disrespectful. We haven't had a full year of federal holiday to enjoy before white folks had to stick their noses in it. But this is why the federal holiday was enacted in the first place, so that white manufacturers and white business owners can make some money off of us. Because black people are going to be buying Juneteenth. Listen, you should not listen. You should not be buying any Juneteenth products from Urugu. You just shouldn't. You just shouldn't. You shouldn't. But this is how the big manufacturing and consumer chains will make money off of black people, because black people are going to be buying your tablecloths and everything, and your barbecue food or whatever it is you're doing from them. That's why it was a federal mandate. Mind you, just last week, Congresswoman Maxine Waters was involved in a panel discussion, flew all the way to, I believe it was Barbados or Bahamas, one of them, to talk about the economic disparities between Caribbean communities and how the Congressional Black Caucus will be there to help them with CARICOM. But it's been since 1984 since the Black Congressional Caucus still hasn't passed H.R. 40. And H.R. 40 is crap. But on principle, since 1984, you couldn't even get that done. But you want to be out here caping for other folks in other countries. I don't see the reasoning in doing that. I personally believe that Caribbean nations, South American nations, and nations on the continent, Europe and in Brazil, India should be fighting for reparations in the countries that they reside. We should all be fighting in tandem. Everybody should be fighting in tandem, not waiting for one group of people to do all the heavy lifting. That ain't cool, and that's not going to get us nowhere. And I'm tired of us caping for everybody. When nobody puts on capes for us, nobody. What nation putting on a cape for black people here in this country? I'll wait. All of us should be fighting in tandem. That's how you win. That's how you beat the enemy. White folks just don't fight in the U.S. against us in the U.S. They fighting against you in Europe. They're fighting against you in South America. They're fighting against you in Central America. They fighting you on a continent. So they fighting you on all fronts. We have to fight on all fronts. And that seems to be a problem. Everybody want to sit and wait for us to do the heavy lifting, right? Everybody, when you mention reparations for black people, folks always saying, where we going to get the money from? But nobody asks where Biden just got $12 billion for Israel at. Nobody asks Biden where he getting this $33 billion for Ukraine at. Nobody asks Biden administration where they're getting this billions of dollars for the Afghans at. Nobody asks. But when it comes to black people, everybody is hooping and hollering, whining and complaining. And then you have black people who say, well, I don't want no reparations. You a liar. Because if cash payments was delved out right now, they would be the first ones on the line. We as a people have to get out of this habit of waiting for everybody to fight our battles for us. We have to get out of this mindset that if we go into a polling booth and pull a lever or push a button, that's all we have to do. Political education is key, and in our community, we are at kindergarten while everybody else is getting collegiate degrees. Everybody. You got the AAPI community who got money off the rip, legislation off the rip, and we still fighting for the same things since before Dr. King. Which brings me to our topic tonight, Black mothers. The first woman on the planet, the oldest human fossils found on the planet came from a Black woman. No matter what your ideologies and philosophies, belief systems are totally up to you. When Degnesh, or Lucy, for argument's sake, was her remains was found, there was no literature left behind by her that tells us a blueprint for what we must do as women. But her DNA gave us a clear and concise understanding of who the first woman was, who the sustainer of life is, and that is Black women. Oftentimes, even in our fight for liberation, the voices and the works of great Black women are not spoken of, and we have to change that. We have to change that paradigm. I know you see a lot of folks, names and faces that are pushed to the forefront, but they didn't do the real work. And truth be told, a lot of them ain't even write their speeches. So we have to go back and educate ourselves again on the movement. Who was doing the real heavy lifting? Who was doing the real work? It's written, it's documented, but I don't know why we continue to regurgitate these same stories. And because we don't know our history, a great man, let me digress for a minute, a great and wise man who I had the privilege of learning a lot of, in particular, law and politics from. He said, although Black men are the victims of racism, white supremacy, and oppression, the target has always been Black women. Right now, the arrow is hitting the target dead on the head. Dead on the head. You've heard for generations, Big Mama and Auntie so and so always held the family down. Always. But that seems to be a passing commentary or a passing thought, because if we really understood the principle of that, we would never allow our enemy to make our brothers victims and to make ourselves the target. Problem is, we don't understand the philosophy. I see my brother Ted. Cheers, brother Ted.
The fam, peace to the fam. All right, get this mic situated, get the mic unmuted. Yeah, but yeah, I'm here for the celebration, man. I think tonight is important. I'm glad you opened up with Dinknish. Give our people a little brief history, a little brief history. Often have this conversation. In the words of Dr. Clark, we can't win this war with half the army. That's why I don't subscribe to the brothers versus sisters, sisters versus the brothers. But I see a lot of that is going on right now, even within the African-centered community. So I don't really know how we're so African-centered when we try to divide our forces, and I'm definitely with celebrating the Black mother because I'm coming to the 1 year anniversary of my mother's transition. So
Definitely, definitely. Um, I once heard someone say, why is it that mothers on Mother's Day they get the best gifts, and people go all out for Mother's Day? And my personal thought on that is because as humans, we understand our life source, where we came from. No matter if you have grown with your mother or haven't grown up with your mother, even people who haven't grown up with their mother, who've had issues with their mothers, they continuously throughout their life long for that affection, that connection to a mother, because you recognize that is your life source, right? So um, that's just my take on it. I also understand it that when a child grows in its mother's womb, um I think sisters, I'm gonna have to let the tea out a little bit. I gotta let the tea out. Immediately after a sexual encounter, a woman knows she's pregnant. And I don't know, and I see a lot of people say, well, how you know that fast? It's something that changes in your body immediately. You have a feeling. You can say, well, dang, man, I hope I'm not pregnant, or I don't know. Let me go to the doctor, get my test. But there's something immediate that happens in you when you know that you have conceived a child. Then, as the child grows in the womb, the connection between the child and that mother is something that is undescribable, right? As the child grows in the womb, it moves, it connects, it reacts to voices, it reacts to the mother's vibration. Um, as you get towards the latter trimester in your pregnancy, um, the child in the womb almost becomes it starts to reject the idea that it's going to be born, right? So that's where all the kicking and the going back and forward, and sometimes when women are in the delivery room, sometimes the fetus can go back, try to go back in towards the womb, and that could cause a whole lot of problems. So automatically you get a connection with that child and the child with its mother. So that's just my take on why people go so hard on Mother's Day. Your thoughts, Brother Tag?
well, I definitely agree. I mean, our old saying, and they say the same thing in Africa: "Mama's babies, daddy's maybe." It's instinctual that we're connected to our mothers. And of course we can always have a connection, a bond with our fathers. We always gonna love them, but the connections with the mothers is so much deeper that it's hard to explain. It's the first heartbeat, like you said, the first voice, the first everything. That's your portal, that's your gate, that's pretty much your quote unquote God, if you will. So it's only right that we give the mothers the best gifts because the father gives us life as well. But I think as men, we're not even so much into the gifts and things like that. We just want the appreciation. What's up, son? I think for us, like for me, let me speak for myself. Do you know what I always ask for Father's Day? Peace and quiet. That's all I want. Just leave me alone. Let me cook something on the grill. Let me go lay up in the park and let me not do anything. I'm gonna tell you, a few Father's Day, a few years back on Father's Day, I'm chilling in the backyard. I got some food on the grill. I'm watching a War on the Horizon DVD. I'm like, yo, I'm not doing nothing today. My daughter calls me because she was getting married. Daddy, I need $900. I'm like, because I was paying for the wedding. So she was doing what she. I was like, yo, not even on Father's Day can I get a break? I was like, baby, you could have called me on Monday. You could call me tomorrow with this. But daddy duties don't stop. But it's just so ironic that sometimes us as fathers are the unsung hero, and that's all right because as humans, there's a primitive code in us, and I'm gonna try to make this short as possible. That as men, we go out and face the danger. We go out and get the resources. That's why men are supposed to gather. We go out, slay the lion, bear, whatever dangers there are out there to keep the women and the children safe. We bring them resources back home since we did the hard work. The women does the part of cleaning up whatever it is, butchering the meat, whatever. Chef it up for the family, feed it to the children, whatever. We work in unison. In this modernized, westernized society now, they drew a divide amongst us to where some fathers get pushed out of the home or choose not to be in the home. And we no longer work as a union. And that creates dysfunction. And we see it evident in today's society in the way the world runs when naturally in early times, we relied on one another. We both had a set of skills that was necessary for all of us to survive. And now those skills are no longer sharpened and harnessed. And now we think we don't need each other. And that becomes a problem. But the mother, above and beyond it all, still always tried to hold on. And it's so unfortunate now that I see so many sisters and brothers don't honor the mothers to the level that they deserve because the mothers are the one who pass on the family values to the children, you know, and it's always in agreement with the fathers. So as men, we don't care about the gifts too much. The mother who always keeps the home together. I think you stated earlier, like Big Mama and everybody. That's why I've always told my sons respect women because in my family, it's always been women who ran the house. Like the men were there. The men were more so the resources and the protectors. But mothers are the managers of the family. They make the phone calls. They make sure everybody gets visited. They make sure everybody has their fair share. So I don't think there's a way that you could ever pay your mama back for all that she's done. So sometimes it is elaborate. My goal, and I had made the decision last year before my mother transitioned, that I was going to take her to Africa. That was going to be one of my gifts to her, to get her to the continent, because she loved African art, sculpture, culture, history, all of that stuff. But she's never been, and she was proud that I was going back and forth doing the work that I was doing. So mothers are extremely important, and that's why they get the best gifts, because you can never repay the person that literally gave you life. And I'm gonna stop right there.
Agreed. For me personally, I like that too, to be left alone
Yeah,
on Mother's Day.
just leave
Leave
me
me
alone.
alone.
Just leave me alone.
Leave me alone. I got a fresh box of cigars up there, and I got my wine downstairs. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. And my family, they know that. But you know, I wanted to talk about mothers of community, right? We always grew up with those type of mothers, everybody knew such and such mother or grandmother. They always was involved in the community. If such and such ain't have no food, such and such mama take care of them. You have Mother Hale up in Harlem, you know, the mothers of the community. Today, um, we don't have as many mothers of the community that we once did. And I think that the spirit, if you will, of Black motherhood has been tainted in such a way that it's caused a breakdown in the community. Not all, so don't all of y'all start sending us a bunch of messages, but I'm saying as a whole, on the surface, when you see it, there aren't many mothers of community anymore. And the sad part, Brother Tad, is because of our ignorance in our approach to culture and politics, that we have legally and politically negated our birthright and have turned it over to imposters who I call identity thieves, right? Because if black women were the backbone of the Democratic Party, the Democratic Party then in return give legislation and money and status to transgender, whatever else they want to call them. I call them transformers, but whatever else they want to call themselves. To give up your birthright is sacrilege. So, I think we have to get back in tune with what our birthright is and stand firm on our square. And we dictate what womanhood and what motherhood is because we are the first. Your thoughts?
I mean, I can't agree with you um, more than what I already do. I think had I said it, it would come off as misogynist, and that's why I'm glad a strong, happy man
That's why I said it, so they don't come for you, brother Tag.
who is who is active in the community, because some people have forfeited their birthright but still think they got the right to talk smack when they're not doing their motherly duties. And as Baba Baruti once told me before, he said all women are mothers just by virtue that they could bring forth life, whether they have children or not. And with that, I'm adding this, that the women should move accordingly. I see and hear so many sisters talk about our community, talk about black men in the community, talk about what's not being done in the community. But seldom, if ever, do I hear them uplift and uphold the brothers who do organize in the community and give their life, give their money, give their time, give their energy and resources to trying to make a community a better place. But what I see them do is take the same argument as the Yorugu, use the least of us and say that is all of us. And seldom do they reach up and look at the best of us and say, this is who we really are. This is the representation of who we are. Because the Yorugu on the other side, westernized people, always take their best and brightest and say, this is all of us, and always shun the worst of us. But we, on the other hand, got this thing where we always look at the worst of us and say that's a representation of all of us, which is so far from the truth, which caused rifts with us. So even on the dating scene, even in our organizations, even in our religious institutions, there's always that divide and rift on black women ain't doing this and black men ain't doing that, when we should take a look at ourselves and what we're doing. All the organizations I was a part of and am a part of and in leadership in is because I saw the void. I didn't say, why don't somebody do this? I said, well, here's something for me to do. We talk about critical race theory right now. In party, parents actively reclaiming their youth. That's all we did, was teach our children critical race theory. We don't need to ask for permission. And if we're well studied in our struggle on who we are as black people, we should already know that you don't ask your oppressor for permission to be free. You take your freedom. And if knowledge is power and information is the key, then we take that and we give it to our children. Don't hoard it for ourselves and look down on people who haven't read what we've read or been where we've been. Because it's come to my understanding now that a lot of people aren't as well read as they like to think. They aren't as knowledgeable as they like to think they are. So it almost makes it hard to have a conversation because they got a skewed frame of reference. They have a lopsided view and their source of information isn't credible, if I can use that word. It's just a popular belief and opinion, but it's not factual. We just came across some information the other day about Roe versus Wade, since now the whole abortion thing is in it. And I saw a sign today on Clarkson Avenue and said men should support women's the right for a woman to have an abortion. And I have my own thoughts and opinions and experiences with all of that. But I found it ironic how they try to shame men to move their position from their experience to support something they don't necessarily agree with. It's almost like what the transformer community saying, if you don't date trans women, you're homophobic. Nobody is gonna bully me into taking on a position that I don't agree with. I don't care what it is. So even when we talk about Roe versus Wade, we found out that the woman lied about being raped. But outside of that, when we look at Planned Parenthood and we look at Margaret Sanger and our whole reason for creating this abortion movement and things like that, it has racist connotations in it. Now, me as a man, I support anybody's right to live their life the way they see fit. And I leave it there. Now, do I have to agree with people? Of course not. Do I support your right? Of course I do. Do what you feel is necessary for you. But don't try to bully me to it agreeing with you, because that's where the conflict is gonna come in. So I just feel where we are right now in 2022, it's it's a critical mass right now because the world is literally changing. We are now in the new world order. I think we talked about this last week. I mean, the week before last. You know, referring to the book 1984, where everybody gets amnesia, short-term memory loss, and we forget who we are, what we're fighting for, and who we're fighting against. And I just think that mothers have always been the real freedom fighters, above and beyond everything, doing what they felt was best for the future generation, because that's who it depends on. The men, we're the front line, but the mothers are the nurturers. As Baba Rudy said, men are the fence around the garden. The garden is the women, the children, and the elderly. But now people are tearing down the fence from the inside. We're doing so much infighting that it's almost hard to see a black future if we don't get our act together and stop fighting one another. Stop being so anti-woman. Stop being so anti-man. Because I'm seeing this in the African Ascendant movement. And it's disheartening, sis. It's disheartening.
because they're a bunch of followers, and
Yes.
and that's the problem. It's degeneracy have long crept into this so-called conscious movement. It's worse than the black church.
Yes.
That's just my opinion. So I'm
That's a
speaking for
fact.
me.
It's a fact. It's a
It's
fact.
worse than the black church, and it's disgraceful, and seriously problematic. Because if we are supposed to be the front line, and the front line is broken, the war's lost. The war's lost. And that's why I say we have to re-educate ourselves, but this time do it properly. I'm glad you brought up this abortion fight. Now, let me just say this: Black women, don't get suckered into this fight. This is not your fight. This is a fight for wealthy white women for two reasons. One, for stature. Two, for the legality of citizenship that will put them on an equal playing field as the Queen of England. What I mean by that, when you research the history of this country, the first documented citizen was a white girl, Virginia Dare.
Mm.
And ever since that, they have stifled that fact. White men have stifled that fact for whatever reasons. The Queen of England, I believe, has 62 monarchs under her. The equal playing field to that would be the United States, which is why white women were so desperate to get Hillary Clinton in the White House. It's all about legal standing for them. And we don't understand that fight. Two, do not allow this abortion rights argument to use Black women as the face of the fight. I've seen a lot of news commentary in the past week talking about abortion rights, and they constantly talk about women of color, uh, underserved communities. You know the coded language for that.
Yes.
And they don't talk about wealthy white women who use abortions as a form of birth control and have been doing that for centuries. For centuries. On top of that, if they really want to get into the history of how white women despise black women who were being raped and wanted those babies aborted. They don't talk about that. Listen, they were once her property. Read that book. If you don't believe me, just
Which book?
read. They were once her property. Read that book. And then you will find out for yourself exactly how ruthless and conniving these white women were and are. Don't allow them to use your face as the fight, as use your suffering as the fight for their movement. We got to be careful about that. And I see a lot of black politicians putting on case for people when they shouldn't be putting on case for nobody. Looking at the condition of the black community right now, no, we don't need black politicians putting on a cake for nobody. Nobody. And let me keep moving on. Speaking of this abortion right, they often complain about, and Brother Tad, I'm sure you can remember this in the late 80s, early 90s when they used to have those ABC after school specials.
Yes.
And they would talk about teenage pregnancy in the black community and how we need to curb teenage pregnancy in the black community, using black suffering for their own agenda, negating the argument that the majority of those who are aborting their children then and now were white women. Were white women. So if anything, a politician should be talking about white women and their problems and keep that over there. Right? Now, I'm not here to tell a woman what she should do with her body. If you feel that you are not mentally capable or that you are raped and having a child, I can't deal with the child of a rapist. I'm telling you, that's just me. I don't want to be reminded of that at all. So if you feel you got to do what you got to do, so be it. But don't let these white women get out here and put this cape on your back and have you out here flapping your wings like a fool for them. And it has nothing to do with you whatsoever. It's the same thing with this argument in support of Ukraine. They can show you, mainstream media that is, they can show you all of this footage of Ukrainian soldiers gaining momentum on Russian soldiers. They can show you images and footage of apartment buildings and office buildings being blown to smithereens. They can show you footage of these Ukrainian women and children in these makeshift bunkers, but they can't find no footage of all of these Ukrainian soldiers out here who are waving Nazi flags,
Right.
Nazi tattoos. And you let these people come into the country. We got enough Nazis here. Why would we want to bring more Nazis into the country? Where is the weeding out of these Ukrainians coming into this country? You know, I remember Donald Trump saying, as it relates to the Hispanic community, those coming out of Ecuador and Mexico in particular, calling them bad hombres.
Yep.
What about these hombres over here? What they gonna do about these hombres over here? You mean to tell me that CNN, who got all of these on the ground reporters, can none of them find nobody waving these Nazi flags? Because I found them. If I can find them, I know they can find them. You seen them. Excuse me, we all seen them. We can find them while they can't find them. You know. So, in light of our honoring black mothers, let's stay the course.
Yes.
The oldest remains found in this state was that of a black woman. They did a PBS special about her um, called The Woman in the Iron Coffin. You can check that out at your leisure. When you go to a lot of these older burial grounds here in the United States. And I would implore y'all, take a little trip, even where you reside. There are some burial grounds around you. Just, take a walk through and see how long black women have been here. People like what was her name? Flora James, I think it was. I think she was the oldest one um recorded in the United States out of enslavement. You have Matilda McCreer, one of the last people off of enslavement to survive, rather. The black woman had led the fight in the civil rights movement. The black women led the fight in the black power movement. And the black women are leading the fight now in the political movement, but it's in the wrong direction. And we're
Say
in
that.
trouble.
Say that.
It's in the wrong direction, and we're in a lot of trouble.
And I want to say real quick, I saw that coming, of course, when they were labeling the mothers of slain brothers who were slain by police officers and white racists as the quote unquote mothers of the movement. Now, see, it's multi-layered because when we talk about the movement, what movement are we talking about? Are we talking about the civil rights movement? Are we talking about the black liberation movement? What movement are we talking about? And with those movements, there are particular ideologies and elders of that movement that has to be acknowledged. But again, how this country likes to do it is they like to have revisionist history and they like to rewrite it and just keep our folks confused. Because real quick, just to go back to Ukraine, like I said a couple of weeks ago, this is the same thing we've seen in the last century, the early turn of the 1900s, where they sent for more Europeans, just to be in competition with us for the limited resources that already exist. But when them people came, they were granted all types of funds and money. And meanwhile, our conversation for reparations gets swept under the rug because when we talk about black women, let's talk about Queen Mother Moore, who was an advocate and at the forefront for reparations for our people. Let's not dismiss folks who were on the front line. But seldom do I hear people cite Queen Mother Moore and what she represented and what she fought for. So when we say mothers of the movement, we have real mothers of the movement. Asada Shakur is a mother of the movement. Like, we got to be honest with what we're saying and in the context we're using it in. Because here these people come, as you know, they're the authors of confusion. And they should not leave us confused when you got people such as ourselves, such as you and our elders, who are making things plain and clear and moving straight ahead, moving straight forward, not zigzagging with it. And it's unfortunate that quote unquote millennials and the like are adapting this new language that is keeping young people confused. To where critical race theory is the subject, but it's a contradiction in itself because racism is not a theory. It's a thing that's consistently practiced. It's something that has been proven. It's well documented. It's written within their laws. It's written at the end of their guns. The racism hangs at the end of the ropes. So it's not a theory. A theory is an idea you have, but you can't prove. They have proven that they hate us. Now, white supremacy is a theory. And it's not even a theory no more. We know it's not true because somebody who's better at something doesn't have to cheat. I mean, and this is
Facts.
I can't say I'm the best basketball player. And every time I get on the court, I got to cheat to win. I got to foul you. You know what I'm saying? I got to get somebody to fudge the numbers, say your baskets don't count, and I get double points for my baskets. That's cheating. That's not proving I'm better. If anything, it's showing my inferiority. I,
Facts, brother Tad. For real,
so
for real.
so in a few more Mother's Days, right? Check this out, sis. Folks are gonna be confused as to what is a mother. They asked everybody's favorite new judge, what is a woman to her, and she couldn't even define what a woman was.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're
Letting
applauding.
these people steal your birthright is
We are
crazy.
applauding all kind of foolishness. Yeah, we got a black lady judge. Is she a lady? She don't know what a woman is. Like, we need to be clear on a lot of things, and people are
Exactly.
caught in confusion and foolishness. But we're wrong for saying 1 + 1 is 2, because we're not dumbing ourselves down to make the idiots feel as if they're as important as those of us who studied and researched.
I think it was the other day. Did I send it to you, or you sent it to me? Where a little boy was talking to a flamer,
You sent it. I think you sent it to me.
and the little boy is saying, "Are you a boy or a girl?
Yeah.
Why are your nails like that? Are you a boy
Yeah. Well,
or a girl?" This is a little boy. Chill. Even a child knows.
but look, did the dude answer the question?
Not at all.
He couldn't even answer the question. Look,
Not at all.
boy or girl?
But that's the real of it. That's the real of it. And sisters, you have to be stern in this. You have to be stern in this. Never let nobody steal your birthright. I always say this, we all gonna leave here unless we all got a magic pill to stay. And if you got a magic pill, I still don't want to stay here. I'm not trying to fight the inevitable at all. My child already know. Do not resuscitate. I'm out. This is nuts. But anyway, as you said, we have grandchildren. Some of our viewers are young people. Some of our viewers have children and grandchildren. What is the identity of a woman? We are the only people who can give that identity because we were the first. Everybody else is an imposter. Everybody else came after the fact. You can't get the definition from a replica. You can only get the definition from the originator. It's the same with societies. You know, people have this misconception of what African societies or how they live. When listen, I don't profess to know everything, and so I'm asking all of you. When the remains of Lucy was found, what literature was found with her to give you a blueprint on what a society is?
Exactly.
So when I hear people talk about, polygamy, polygyny, and all this other stuff, these are philosophies and ideals that came way after her. So right now, I think it's 3.18 million years ago, right? That's how old her remains are, I believe. 3.18 million. So where is the literature? When you go to Egypt, right, on the tombs and on the walls of the monuments and everything else, there is scribe. When you go to Ethiopia and you go into the Sudan, you can find the scrolls and the scribes. You go into Mexico, you can find the scrolls and the scribes. What literature was found with Lucy? And if it wasn't, everything that came after her was a belief system that you made up. However, it wasn't found with her. Everything came after that. I'm just
Yep.
going off of the science. Since they like to say, follow the science. Nothing with Lucy describe anything with transgender, nothing, nothing, nothing. Unless I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, please, somebody in the chat correct me. If you got information, please share with us because we are learned ones here on Thorough Black Talk. So, if there was no literature found with Lucy about being transgender or LGBTQ or any other thing like that, it's a philosophy and a belief that was enacted way after she was long and gone. Because even in the 1,000 years or 1,000 or so years after that, when the next humans were found, whether it was Europe or in the Americas, there was no literature found. None.
And
So
this confusion.
nobody can't tell me no nonsense, and you can't confuse me with foolishness.
And And this confusion is just a modern phenomenon that they just started forcing on people because we know it existed in Europe. We know that it existed in Europe. They put theirs in stone. We put our social value system in stone as well as they put theirs, which is in total opposite to each other. But what kills me also is that even because I know we call her Lucy, because Dr. Leakey, who supposedly found the bones, was listening to the Beatles and the song Lucy was on. So they named the bones after the song. But her real name is Dinknish, you know, and it was found in Ethiopia. In fact, her remains are in Ethiopia. But enough of our folks are so having Afrophobia that we don't even want to go to the continent. We think we don't have nothing in the continent. Everybody wants to go where it's been modernized by westernized folks or Eastern folks, the sand folks. So if they go to the continent, they want to go to Dubai or something like that. Nobody wants to
Crazy.
do historical research and find out who they are. So meanwhile, the folks that oppress you, that put you in these conditions, are telling you who you are, which is not really who you are.
Hmm.
Because if we do some real fact finding, travel the planet, and then do some soul searching on ourselves, we'll find out that we are really gods and goddesses, that we are the originator. Even when you look at our DNA, we are the original Homo sapiens, and that everybody else come from us, but they're not quite Homo sapiens. They have Neanderthal DNA, excluding nobody, Asians, Europeans, because remember, humans were defined by the continent because of the climate, the foods that we ate, and things like that. We are all not the same. And I think it's important that we realize that too. That's why we have different diets and things like that. I mean, this is very deep, and
Facts.
I think we got to go back to the source, which is the mother. The mother
Hmm.
will always be the source. If you want to find out who you are, go to the source. You know, people will tie in religion and say you are your father's child. Whatever your father was, that's what you are. Which I don't agree with that because my bloodline, my placenta, belongs to my mother. When my brain, my heart, my eyes, fingers, toes, genitalia, all that developed inside my mother. Now you can tell me my father's my father all you want, but if we take a DNA test and he's not, who's the fool? I
Facts, brother
know
Tad.
where I come from. You know,
Facts.
so even when I do my family history, it's cool to go up my father's tree, my grandfather's tree, but then I definitely climb my mom's tree and my grandmother's tree and her mother's tree. And I think it's very important. The good thing about my family though is that we got strong genes, so everybody look like who they supposed to look like, and ain't too much question about who we belong to, you know. And of course, you know, I like to think and believe that the women in my family did have some level of dignity and knew who the father of their children were as well, so that there is no mistake and there is no confusion. I just seen on my way home, and then we're gonna greet our brother Ashe and bring him in. I saw an interracial lesbian couple where the black woman was pregnant. I said, how do we explain this? Now I know some folks of that lifestyle who, I got a good relationship with, but it just sometimes it beguiles the mind of what do we tell these children? Where are you from? Who are you?
We gotta be bold and tell them the truth. And that's why I'm saying, as black women, we have to reclaim our birthright.
Yeah.
Period. We are the determining factor of what womanhood is, not anyone else, because we were the first. And I will put that on anything to anybody. You cannot determine authenticity through a replica. It only comes through the original. And I'm glad you brought up um, people going to the continent and wanting to go to places where Urugu reside, or stuff like that. And I find that too in the Caribbean as well. They want to be wherever, Urugu are. And I'm the type of person who goes off the beaten path. I don't want to be where no tourists at. And shout out to my sister Takia, just came back from the country of Senegal. Had a
All
great time there. My swap sister just got back from Senegal and brought us some lovely gifts back. But anyway, um, we are the determining factor of what womanhood is, and we have to stand firm on that. Um, there is a show on Showtime, I think. Showtime. First, let me answer your question. Sister Fondessa, the book is called They Were Once Her Property. They Were Once Her Property. Okay? That's the name of the book. But there's a show on Showtime, and it's called The Man Who Fell to Earth. And it's about a black man from another uh, planet who comes to Earth looking for a black woman that has the science, the will, and the brain power that he needs to save his people on his planet, not realizing because of the fear and the neglect of her own ability to do what she can, because she takes care of her daughter, she takes care of her father, and those are priority in her life. But in meeting this black alien man who needs her help, he lets her know that the two of them need each other to save each other, to save each other's planet, and that both planets will die out if they don't come together. So right now they only had 3 episodes, so I'm on the third episode, but it's very, very interesting. And the diabolical nature of the Urugu is in the background of all of this. But the two of them understand that it is only them who can save each other. Very, very interesting dynamic in this show. And also, family, whenever you go out, whenever you travel, even if it's to the grocery store, try to discover something that you never saw before. Everything should be a fact finding mission. Because I often hear this narrative, Brother Tab, Brother Ashe, that um, we got to focus on the children because adults are too set in their ways to change. But I am of the belief that if we don't deal with the adults, um, we're going to have more problems because the children reside in the homes of these adults. And if you don't deal with that whole dynamic, just like you said in the opening, you can't do one without the other. But I do understand you have to meet people where they are. So, whatever I do, however I do it, I am always on an education mission to get our people to see things the way that they should see them, whether they want to or not. I just have a unique approach as to how I do that. Even this past weekend, me and my swap sisters, we went away for the weekend, and we were coming from, I think it was the shopping mall, I think it was, and my cousin Tashima and I was just she and I in one vehicle, and we were coming back, and just out of the corner of my eye, I see an arch that says Civil Rights Park. Turn back around. Let's go check out that park. Right? So she made a U-turn, and me and her, we went through the park, but it's off the beaten path. So many black people were just passing by it. Even people who were there for vacation or shopping or whatever they were there for. But I know they weren't residents of New Jersey. But everybody passed by this park. And so there began a conversation about the park. So I'm saying all of this to say is you have to reach people where they are at and truly be vigilant in your approach in educating the whole and not just one sect or sector of the community. Because if we don't do it holistically, we are going to fall holistically. And that's what's happening to us, right? You have these younger people, so they say, who are leading the fight for everybody to be included in everything. Politically, that is, but it's damaging to the whole. It's damaging to the whole. So, before we move on, give me some of your fondest memories of the mothers in your life. Your mother, your grandmother, your aunt, sister.
All right, I'm gonna make it brief because I always tell people my three favorite ladies have always been my two grandmothers and my mother. One of my grandmothers has transitioned, my father's mother, Bernice. But what's really crazy is one day I was just talking with my mother about, just my grandmother. She was still alive at the time, and my mother chuckled. This is an amazing story because I said, what's so funny? She said, how close you and your grandmother is. She said, because when I was pregnant with you, your grandmother gave me hell. I'm like, for real? She was like, yeah. She was like, I don't know why she's saying that's Clarence baby. She need to go find the daddy, blah, blah, blah. Right? She said she said your grandmother would send me home crying. She said your grandfather was always a sweetheart. He'd be like, Pete, just don't listen to that. Don't listen to her. Anything you need for that baby, you just come let me know. Bum, bum, bum. My mother said the moment I came out the womb and my grandmother saw me, she had to eat her words. Cause me and my grandmother was like this. That's a running joke with my family, with my cousins. They like, we know who grandma favorite was, but it all makes sense now because she would always say, Tadpole, my baby, that's my baby, Tad, my baby. And it all made sense that she would deny me. But of course, like I said, I look like my father's side of the family. My son, we all look like that side of the family, which is her bloodline. We look like my grandmother, which is so deep. But my mother always showed love and respect to my grandmother. Because of course, when I was about 14, they started speaking. And then anything my grandmother needed as an elder, my mother would do for her. Even though she wasn't obligated, she still did it, which I thought was so dope. And then with my mother's mother, my grandmother, the one who's still living, like, there's a level of love that she gives that you can't put into words. Just being around her, you don't even have to talk. It's just a level of love. And she always treated everybody fair. She was no joke, but she always treated everybody fair. And I'll just go over, like, just give an overlay because there's too many specific incidents that I could pinpoint of why I appreciate them so much. But I'll close with, for my mother, it was because she didn't tolerate nothing from me. Nothing from me. When I was 14 and I got accepted to high school law and design, since that's a prestigious high school. You can't be no slouch. You got to have great grades and be talented to go to that school. So instead of the I'm proud of you, yo, I ain't get that. She said, Tad, I'm telling you now, I'm not coming to the school for your bullshit. I'm telling you right now, that's the speech I got because I was just always fighting, no matter how smart I was. Like, it was just a thrill I got out of a little fisticuff. That was my thing back then. And as I got older and I became a parent myself and moved out of the house, I started to understand everything she was trying to teach me, which was responsibility. She said, Tad, I always knew what you could do. I was just waiting for you, you know what I'm saying, to realize it. Because I was always fighting. I wasn't afraid of nobody. I was fighting kids bigger than me. I was in grown men face. I was that kid. Wasn't scared of nobody. And she found that to be a problem because one day somebody's going to try to knock my head off, which did happen. People done shot up my house, all kind of stuff. Like, I put my mother through some things, but she never left me. She always supported me. Anything I wanted to do positive. Even when I told her I met Dr. Khalid and I started running with him, she wasn't a big fan of Dr. Khalid because she didn't have the information on who he was. All she knew from him about him was what the news said. And but she supported me. And then she came to the Million Youth March, and that experience changed because since you was there, the narrative that the news gave and what really was going on, it opened her eyes. Like, wow, these people on the news are real liars. Really some big liars. They were, the police was agitating the people and everything before Doc even got on stage. And she saw that firsthand. because Dr. Khalid was nowhere in sight when the police started what they started, you know. So by the time he came, he was already heated and furious. Like, yo, any of them touching them, you take their weapon and you beat them with it. Detach these rails. And my mother was in agreement with it because this was something peaceful for children. So now she got a glimpse of how I think and where my life was going, you know, with my introduction to Dr. Khalid and marching with him. So here now, I became the teacher to my first teacher because now she's learning things about politics and our best interests in African culture because I'm going to Africa. I'm reading these books and sharing these things. In fact, when I started celebrating Kwanzaa, she asked, could we celebrate Kwanzaa at her house? Which I thought was so dope and profound. So that's the love and support that I got from my mother, that even some things she didn't agree with, she supported me enough to learn. Like, well, what is this about? What do you mean when you say this, that, and the third? Which really gave our relationship another layer to how deep it already is for that mother son connection, especially with me being our first son, you know. But I'll stop right there.
Brother Ashe SJ, what's good with you, brother? What's
Peace,
some of your
brother.
best
Ashe.
memories of your mom or women in your family?
Yo, what's the word, yo? I mean, I was raised by all women. You feel me? Like my mom, I grew up in a household with my mom's and my big sister. My big sister, 10 years older than me. The year I was born, my grandmother, she actually was battling cancer. Like my mom, it's so ill. My mom's taught me like so much information. I sat down with her like 3 weeks ago. And she was teaching me so many different things I didn't know about my youth and before I was born and everything, like what I was coming into. And my grandmother was battling cancer. And they was telling her she wasn't gonna make it, but she was like, nah, I'm staying because she wanted to meet me. She was like, she gotta meet me before she go. And she thugged it out and she met me and she transitioned the same year I was born, but she did get to hold me and all of that. So it was deep, it was powerful. And like my whole life, I always kind of wanted to know more about her. You know what I'm saying? And my mom gave me the full breakdown. So it was dope because Keisha said memories, right? And luckily, I just had the privilege of creating a new memory with my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? And you know, things is ill because people think like, oh, because somebody transitioned, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the end of the legacy and things of that nature. But we know that's not true, especially with African people. Like the legacy still carries on. You still got these ancestors that's watching over you, pulling strings for you, protecting you, giving you ancient wisdom and knowledge. Like you got so many different warriors in your corner when you got these ancestors, you know. So especially the loved ones, not even just the indirect ancestors that put in work for us that we always pour out our shade for, you know what I'm saying? But the bloodline, the people that really loved you and would die for you, you know what I'm saying? And the memory that I had was it was ill because my mom, she couldn't remember. My mother, she was like, she went through a lot, you know what I'm saying? My mom's like, she was struggling, trying to make money, working two jobs. She had my big sister. My big sister had a foot injury. You know what I'm saying? My mother's mother, my grandmother was going through cancer, and my mother was pregnant with me. So she was going through a lot, especially, you know, in the 80s, early to mid 80s. I was born in 85. You know, it was crazy, especially trying to make money in that era. My mom's was poor, you know what I'm saying? So when my grandmother transitioned, my mother couldn't pay for the funeral, you know. So back in those times, the days was a little bit different. Like they would give you like certain places, they would give you like a grave site or whatever, a plot. They'll give you a plot, but if you couldn't pay for it, they'll bury you in the same spot with other people. Sometimes they was burying people on top of other people, and sometimes they was burying people right next to other people. So I was just saying, my mom's just breaking down all these stories and information, telling me, and I'm just like, something. I'm just like, yo, you don't remember? Like, so my mom's didn't remember what the cemetery was, but she remembered that it was first she said Long Island, but then she said Staten Island. I'm like, oh shoot, okay, that's right there. That's in the 5 boroughs. That ain't far at all. I'm thinking because my mom's side is from Savannah, Georgia. I'm thinking like, you know, she's somewhere else or whatever, but Little did I know my grandma's was buried a borough away. My whole life, I'm 37. I just had a earthrise pass. I'm 37. My little did I know, you know what I'm saying? Because I always pour my libations to my grandmother and things of that nature. But just to know that she's that close, it was ill for me. It was like a life changing and awakening moment. Like it's crazy how you could live like all these years in your life. And I know Tad and Keisha know about it. Then you get put onto some knowledge or some information about your family or something that like somebody that's close to you that you know very well, and you didn't know nothing about this part about them. You find out about it decades later. It's like wow, like your brain is like a full sponge and your eyes is wider, like you see clearer. You know, so when I found that out, I'm like, Mom, please, like find out whatever. So she couldn't remember the name, but she was going through her old photo albums and stuff like that, and she found, you know, the little cards that you have when you have the funeral. So she found the card, but she like, I don't think it's gonna do good because, like I said, my mom's ain't have it. She ain't had the money. So she the only thing that was on the card, she couldn't pay for like a full thing. Like it wasn't my grandmother didn't even have a photo on the card. So it was just a prayer, like a quote from the Bible. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking, I'm like, damn. So it's a quote from the Bible, no picture of my grandma's. I'm like, damn, you know, I'm trying to get closer, see her and things of that nature. But then I opened the joint up, and then when you open it up, you look on the back, it's a stamp of the goddamn funeral home. Not the funeral home, the funeral home and the cemetery was stamped on the back. I'm like, yo, this joint was in Staten Island. I think it was called I don't know if you know this one. Hold up, I got it on my phone. Um Silver Mount Cemetery.
I don't know where that one is.
It's not deep in Staten Island at all, bro. It's like as soon as you get off the ferry, it's like 10 minutes away. It's right there. But yeah, she's a Silver Mount. I found that out. So as soon as I found that out, I'm like, boom, I'm going like the next day. Dead ass, I went the next day. I called the next day. I called the dude from in the cemetery. He's like, email me. I emailed him, sent him the name of my grandmother. He emailed me right back like an hour later, and he like, yeah, she here, she buried here, but it was an unmarked grave. You know what I'm saying? Like she didn't have her own plot or nothing like that. So when I got there, they knew where she was, and they gave me a number for her. But like when you're looking at it, it's like the numbers is like it's like that number is there, but then it got somebody else's name on it. So I'm feeling crazy. But then I'm like, don't worry, she right there. They just buried her right next to the other people that actually paid for the plot. So it was dope. So I actually went out there. This was 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. I went out there and I just sat out there, poured my libations, talked to my grandmother, and it's like, for me, it's deep because that's something I always carried on me. It's like, damn, like I wish I could have known her. You know what I'm saying? Like because she transitioned the same year I was born. Like I always felt bad about that. But then when I got the story of like her battle with cancer and how she was fighting and holding on and she was determined not to transition just so she could hold me, I'm like, oh, okay, I can't even be mad that she transitioned that year because she held on for me. You know what I'm saying? So that was just so ill, man. So like we definitely gotta honor, you know, the warrior women in our lives that really love us and put in work for us. And my mom's like, she definitely, you know, been through a lot and put on for the family. She really put on for the family. And, you know, I got to take my moms out on Sunday and, you know, celebrate and go in the pocket and, you know, get the flowers and all that good stuff. And it's crazy because, you know, some people, especially in the quote unquote conscious community, like I don't even, I don't know. I'm on different timing, but a lot of them, they'll be different, be crazy about it. Cause you know, it's like these holidays and I understand that like, you know, by no means should we wait till Mother's Day to celebrate, you know, our mothers and the women in our lives and the mothers of the movement and things of that nature, our indirect mothers, the people in our community that always looked out for us. We shouldn't wait for a day. You know what I'm saying? We should celebrate them every day. But at the same time, this is something that's a specific thing. You know what I'm saying? That we can highlight because I know the whole history behind it. I don't know if the audience knows, but Mother's Day was created by a devil, of course. Her name is Anna Jarvis. Anna Jarvis. Y'all can look it up. And she created it in honor of her mother, actually. It didn't start out as a holiday. It started out as a memorial ceremony for her mother. This devil Anna Jarvis created it for her mother to honor her mother. I think it was in Virginia, West Virginia. And after she did that, it was a big. I guess she had money. It was a big thing. A couple years later, West Virginia just kept doing it annually. They kept doing it annually, and that's how the holiday was created in the early 1900s. This devil named Anna Jarvis created Mother's Day, but we still ain't gonna let that take a. I'm not celebrating no goddamn Anna Jarvis. You know what I'm
That
saying? You won't see me celebrating no goddamn devil for Mother's Day. You know, so um, with that to the side, like let's just be mature and realize, like, I mean, we know it's a thing with corporate too, and they want to get money and things of that nature, and spend money buying cards and buying flowers and things of that nature. Well, hey, look, you ain't got to do that. You don't got to go out and do all of that either. Get creative. You know what I'm saying? You could write a poem, write a letter, just write a list of things you're grateful for about your parents or your mother or your baby mother, whoever the case, your sister, your aunt, that's a mother. You know what I'm saying? You could get creative. Like me personally, I'm gonna do some stuff. I'm gonna take my mom's out and all of that. But also, I got some other sisters. Like it's an elder that I know, and then also a sister of mine that's around my age, a good sister. She got like 4 or 5 kids, but she doing her thing. So me and my homeboy, we about to collaborate and just put some money together and go out and buy exotic fruits, soursop, burro bananas, key limes, all that good stuff that you can't really find in a regular store. You know what I'm saying? But it's just fruit, but it's like solid, exotic, organic fruit. And we just gonna create our own fruit basket. Buy a bunch of the fruit, put it together, and take it to them. That's not super expensive, and that's super thoughtful and creative because they can't even find these fruits. These are fruits from the West Indian, from the West Indies, from Africa, and all of that. So we just gonna show some love like that. But y'all can get creative, family. You ain't gotta go to Tiffany's or Macy's or Rite Aid to get your cards and all of that. Like it's plenty of black-owned businesses. Matter of fact, my brother Negus, I'm gonna have to drop his link in the chat. It's a brother named Negus Adeyami, Bayesian brother. He around my age, and he actually has a business where he does black-owned business cards. I mean, I'm sorry, cards like greeting cards and postcards and things of that nature. And he has a beautiful card for Mother's Day. So y'all don't have to support the establishments, you know what I'm saying? But you can still at the same time support black-owned businesses and buy a black greeting card. There's plenty of black greeting card and postcard companies out there. There's plenty of black florists out there right now. Matter of fact, they just opened one up right here in Bed-Stuy on Malcolm X and I want to say Malcolm X and Hancock. I forget the name of it. It's a young sister like me and her mother, and that ain't that a beautiful thing? This young sister and her mother created a black florist. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot of these businesses, these black floral shops that need help as well too, and they doing beautiful things for Mother's Day. Go there, or you don't even gotta buy it. Take your moms to the garden or the park or something like that. But New York Botanical Garden is lit. It's beautiful. Brooklyn Botanical Garden got the cherry blossoms. You know what I'm saying? It's plenty of different things that you could do, without establishing, supporting a white establishment, and trying to say that, oh, you down with the Anna Jarvis thing. Like, nah, we're not making those excuses up. We adults here. We love our sisters. We love our aunts, and we loved our mothers and our grandmothers and the warrior women that are in the mothers of the movement. Like, we always going to honor and support them. Without them, there's no us. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful right now. That's the time I'm on right now. And it's going to be beautiful. Hopefully the weather holds up. I know it's supposed to be raining, but it's a lot of things that's going down this weekend. So I'm trying to live it up. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, and my mom's hit me up today. She's so excited too. And that's a dope thing because my mom's ain't grow up in no consciousness and not like that. I've been bringing her into it. But she hit me up today. She like, yo, Dance Africa is coming up, right? I'm like,
right.
Yo, I totally forgot that joint is coming up in like 2 weeks.
Yep. We was just talking about that, me and my swap sisters getting tickets. But you see how important it is to teach the whole of the community. As Brother Ashe says now, his mom is learning some things from him. And she's the one who told him, yo, ain't Dance Africa coming up?
Mm-hmm.
Now how parallel are our connections? I never knew my great grandmother. She was deceased before I arrived on the scene. I would hear family members speak of her. Nobody could tell me where she was buried. Nobody. Again, she too was buried or is buried in a mass grave. right? But it was not until 2013 that I found out where she was buried, a mile and a half away from me. We have parallel connections, the three of us. And that is because, as Brother Ashe says, when our ancestors, the bloodline, transitions, they are our number one fighters and protectors. And they will put us in positions to be with people and also put us in positions to stay away from some folks, whether we want to or not. One of the fondest memories I have of my mother. Remember, my mother was 19 years old when she had me. She was already pregnant and married at 19 to my father, who transitioned a month before I was born. So I never got to lay eyes on him physically. But the day my mother transitioned, we were home in her bedroom, and I was talking to her. And she said to me, "You did everything that I wanted you to do. Now you have to do what you must do. And I'm giving you this to do what you have to do. And don't let nothing stop you." And so I have been on a path to educate myself in the community and being more active in the community because she gave me the green light. Now, when I was younger, my mother depended on me for a lot. I was very mature at a young age. I had a hell of a lot of responsibilities. Again, remember, I said she had me at 19, so she was a kid herself. But she depended on me for a lot as it relates to dealing with my siblings and other things. My responsibilities were heavy. Um, and she knew that. And so when she transitioned, she said, "I thank you. Thank you for being the daughter that you are. Thank you that I never had to worry about you. And now you have to do what you must do." And she transitioned. So with that, I do what I must do. I do what I have to do. And whoever don't like it, deal with my ancestors. Now, if you don't stand in support of Black women, what are you going to tell your grandmother when you transition? What you going to tell that great grandmother when you transition? Don't tell them you were scared or you ain't want to smoke and all this all kind of stuff. Don't come up with all these excuses of how you let another species steal your birthright. You can't do that. Um, Also, when you look at the three of us, Tad, Ashe, and myself, we do a lot of things individually on behalf of the community and ourselves. But we are always in one accord, always in one accord. And that is because mothers who had transitioned ahead of us made sure that this divine intervention took place, whether we wanted to or not. Ashe didn't have to come to UAM. He didn't have to do that. He could have been doing what the hell he wanted to do. Why did he pull up to UAM? Whether you want to believe it or not, Grandma had a hand in that. Whether you want to believe it or not. The older I get, the more in tune with my ancestors I get, the clearer the message is. Somebody asked me last week, how could you go mountain climbing at 50 years old, 50 something years old? Why not? I have nothing to fear. The whole time. And Ashe has already been on that hike, and he could tell you. So many people have died on this hike. This is a fact. So many people. Google right now, death on Break Ridge Mountain. Go ahead. Google the deaths. And you'll be here all night. Now, the whole time I'm going up this mountain, I'm responsible for a whole crew of people, right? If I had told them how dangerous this mountain was before we went up it, I guarantee you a lot of people wouldn't have showed up. And they definitely wouldn't have let their kids do it. But as I'm going up this mountain, I'm talking the whole way to my mother and father. The whole entire way. Even when those spots that got hella difficult, brother Ashe, you know, I'm like, y'all gotta let me make it. Then I started laughing with them, laughing with them. And everybody came back safe. Only one boy had a scrape on his knee. Everybody came back safe. So never be afraid to do what you must do because you never know. Those tasks that you may fear of taking, they can put you in a position to do other things in life. Brother Tad, he didn't have to go running behind Khalid Abdul Muhammad. He didn't have to do that.
For
He
real.
could have been doing whatever the hell he wanted to be doing.
And I was.
But divine intervention said, we got a different plan for you, whether you want to or not. You understand? We have to know the connection. As I started this show, you have to know the connection to your divine vessel that gave you life. You can't think that you're winning a war and black women continue to suffer. Again, as we said 2 weeks ago on this show, the most unprotected group on the planet is black women. And we as a people will not get anywhere until the black woman is placed in her rightful throne where she belongs. And we have to be the blueprint. We are all community active, whether it's Solid African doing things in the community or Better Days Ahead doing community. Now we got the OG podcast doing something in
OG
the community.
Wisdom.
That's right. OG Wisdom podcast doing something next weekend. Tell us about this, Brother Tad.
All right. In conjunction with my brother Claude of Brooklyn 342, you know, that's where I was doing my workouts at in the studio, Not Enough Studios. They do a annual giveaway. And of course I was pulled on to assist with it. So we're also looking for volunteers as well. It's going to be a 2-day event, one inside of Biggie Park on Fulton Street and Clarkson Avenue in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, formerly known as Crispus Attucks Park, now known as the notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace basketball court. We will be in there, and then to follow it up on that Sunday, we'll be in another part of Brooklyn, in the notorious stomping grounds of our sister Keisha, Fort Greene Projects. We will be in Fort Greene. I believe we're going to be in the Ingersoll side. I believe,
Okay.
because it's Ingersoll and Walt Whitman now, right? You know, we old school. We still call it Fort Greene. We still one big project. But, you know, gentrification done split up the projects. So I'll definitely give you that information later on in the week. But we will be doing a giveaway and just giving our community available resources, you know, to local, all black businesses, but, you know, doctors, lawyers, dentists, community organizations, housing organizations. I think Black Veterans for Social Justice may be out there as well. You know, a lot of organizations that's centered around serving our community that many people in the community may not be aware of. Because as we talk all the time, Sister Keisha, you know, we do a lot of work and have a lot of information, but it's just so unfortunate that our folks don't even know where to start looking for the information. So this is pretty much a weekend of outreach, you know, just to let people know that we are here. If there's any particular services that you're looking for, we are here. There will be organizations that's into violence interruptions. In fact, my brother C. Gutter does a lot of violence interruption work. You know, for those who may not know, he's C. Gutter from Junior Mafia, ran with the notorious B.I.G., you know, did a little stint, not little, but he did a stint in prison, you know, and just came home to serve the community, you know, and reverse some of the damage that he may have been caused when he didn't know any better. He's definitely African centered. So, you know, all we about right now is giving back, particularly brothers like us who've been in the streets. So we decided to start a podcast called OG Wisdom and just have conversations based on how we see things as OGs from Fulton Street and what's going on in the world. So this is a big event. We definitely want the community to come out and support. It's free, free, free. All you have to do is pay attention. And that's it. That's
Some people might have a problem with that, Brother Tal. I'm
yeah.
telling you.
Saturday on Fulton Clawson and Biggie Park, and then the following day, that's Sunday on the 15th, we will be in Fort Greene Projects. But of course, we'll have another broadcast. We will be back next Thursday with more and more details. So everybody's more than welcome to come out. Come kick it with me, Sister Keisha, Brother Ashe. You know, we'll be out there. So hopefully you can make it.
That's what's up. I'm definitely going to be there both days. I'll bring Farrell with me on Saturday, and then Sunday, I will be my swap sisters. Some of them are going to come Saturday and some on Sunday because they do their vending business.
Right.
And some of them on Saturdays. So we're going to split it up. So definitely Team Swap will be out there for sure. And Solid African with Brother Ashe SJ will be out there. Let me tell you something before I move on, because I know they watch. We got a lot of love in Jersey. I'm gonna tell y'all that right now. Now, the ladies love Ashe. Now look here. I got hemmed up in the store. Like, whoa, relax yourself. Calm down a little bit. Hold on a minute. I don't know nothing about that. Leave me alone. Like, come on, man. But again, as Brother Tad said, Brother Ashe, myself, will also be joining our brother Tad in his endeavors and come out to support. If you're in the New York City area, not this weekend, we ain't messing up your Mother's Day.
Nope.
Because I told somebody, it was like, Tad better have me some flowers for Mother's Day if I'm giving up my Mother's Day. I'm like, calm down. Relax yourself. It's next week, the 14th and the 15th, from 12 to what, 3:30?
Yes. Yeah, 12, about 12 to 4 p.m.
And why not bring the kids out so they can run around and burn that energy off so they can go to bed early?
That's right. Grown folks have folks time. That was the Sister Keisha. That was my trick. Every weekend, I take them kids out early, run them ragged. 9 o'clock is bedtime. 11 o'clock, I'm out the door. Pew!
For real, that's what's up. And also, family, we want y'all to follow Solid African on YouTube and on Facebook because our brother Ashe does a lot of community events and some interviews, and you want to stay abreast of all of that and make sure you're sharing the information. So we got a lot of things going on. And again,
I got one coming up. I got matter of fact, we're gonna get her on the show, Priestess Yen. You know Yendez, right? Yeah, we're gonna get Priestess Yendez on the show, man, because I've been spending some time with her and like she's solid for real. You know what I'm saying? If y'all in the New York area and Brooklyn or whatever, please make sure y'all go support her business. She has her own brick and mortar. It's called Ancient Blends Apothecary. Y'all can follow her on Instagram. Matter of fact, she has an online store, and you can purchase online as well. But Ancient Blends Apothecary. She was most recently, I think last week, she did a King Simon production. She did his YouTube again, and she did it previously. But powerful, very, very powerful priestess. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the spirituality, you know, whether it comes to healthcare, whether it comes to plants. You know, I put a video up where we had her event in her shop where she had a workshop for houseplants, spring houseplant event. Well, actually last Sunday, a few days ago, we went out to Prospect Park and we did a plant walk. I think I shared it, but I didn't do too much crazy like videos to promote it. But we did a plant walk. So we actually went to Prospect Park and we sat there for a while. She explained all of these wild herbs and wild plants and things of that nature that just grow naturally in abundance that are edible. Things that you can eat, things that you can use to heal yourself and all of that. So your brother Ashe was out there. I left with a whole basket full of herbs and different types of lettuces and things of that nature that you can eat. And best believe the next day, I made a salad with it. And I'm talking about this is stuff that I picked in Prospect Park, family, growing in abundance. We walk past it all the time. You got scallions, you got all kind of stuff like garlic, mustard, I mean, certain things like if you alkaline, you might not eat certain things, but things that are available for us to eat. So if it was a zombie holocaust or whatever you want to call it, your brother Ashe will be prepared, and I know how to identify probably at least like 10 different things that grow wild in the park. And that was a short workshop that we did. Like it's so many more different things. You got ginkgo biloba trees. You can make all kind of
All of this,
yeah. What you said, bro?
all of this was in Prospect Park.
Yo, bro. Yes. Oh, and not even deep in the park, bro. Like, so we went in on the Empire side. As soon as you go in on the Empire side, that grass.
Flatbush.
Yeah, that. But the whole park. But when we went in, we went on Empire, and that first patch of grass that's right there when you enter got like probably like 5 or 6 different things that you can eat right there, bro. But you don't want to eat, and that's the dope thing about having her with us. Because she tell you the tricks and she'll help you identify, but then she'll show you where in the park you want to select from. Just because it grows there, you don't want to grow. Because that first part of the park is a high traffic area. People come with their dogs and all kind of craziness. But if you can identify it, then you walk deeper into the park and you go off the course a little bit, and you know where the grass is and people don't travel, there's no trails. Then you can pick the actual plants that you want to. That I took it home and I made a salad with it, bro. So it was crazy, man. Like it's amazing, family. So Priestess, yeah, this is the truth. Go ahead, bro.
Did they have Mexican parsley in the park?
I don't know. It is Cinco de Mayo, right? So I don't know.
I say Mexican parsley.
Wow.
That's what Fred Sanford called it, Mexican parsley.
Nah, you know it's funny. I don't want to go too deep into it, but it's funny you mentioned that because I just did some study, and I don't know if y'all knew this, but I don't want to mess. People gonna get tight at Shay for saying this, but it's the truth, family. Marijuana is not African. It's not an African plant, bro. Like we wasn't. Now everybody gonna get tight at me now, but we wasn't smoking that. You know what I'm saying? Marijuana, and matter of fact, we could say the whole Rastafari religion or whatever you want to call it, spiritual system, is highly influenced by India, and that's a whole nother show we could talk about. But marijuana is not like it wasn't. Black people wasn't smoking marijuana until the Indians came and to the West Indies and things of that nature, and they brung the seed. You know, so but that's a whole different story. Like these are the things in my free time I've been trying to like learn besides watching obviously lectures from the greats like Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, you know, things of that nature. Like I like watching like stuff like that and documentaries on things like that. But yeah, man, the park was amazing. So we're gonna get Priestess Yendez up here so we can help y'all to identify. Or maybe I'll do a presentation because now I done learned so much. I can teach now. That's the dope thing about going to these workshops, family. So listen, y'all see these workshops and y'all see like y'all don't want to go out or whatever. Trust me, it's a very powerful thing. It could shift your whole paradigm because now I could go out and be a teacher. And don't forget, these elders are far and few in between. You know what I'm saying? And the more and more time passes, they getting older and older. They looking for people with the right heart and the right mind and the right work ethic to be their disciple, to be their what you call it? Not the disciple, but the what you said, bro?
The proteges.
Yeah, the protege, to be their protege. You know what I'm saying? Like, because 5-10 years from now, who gonna be the elders? You feel what I'm saying? Like, who gonna where the elders gonna be at? You know what I'm saying? God forbid when these elders transition that we got right now, especially the mothers that we talking about. That's what I wanted to talk about earlier too, because the mothers that we have that are out here that are solid mothers, and not just paternal, maternal mothers, you know what I'm saying, biological mothers, but like indirect mothers as well, but people that are actually solid with morals and principles. What happened when they transition? You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of these children underneath them are very hard to rear, especially when it comes to mothers trying to rear other mothers or trying to teach children how to be mothers as they grow on and begin to come to that right age. You know, so it's the same thing as with the elders, that the elders that we have in the Afrocentric community, as well as just the straight up mothers. You know what I'm saying? As we look at the generation and the generation and the generation, look at the mothers that we got right now. And I don't want to go to a negative thing. We can, but I don't want to go to that route.
But we got to be honest.
But we got to be honest. The mothers we got now listen to goddamn Megan Thee Stallion. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, it's not. I'm not saying you can't listen to Megan Thee Stallion, but I'm just saying like when your principles and your morals kind of go together with what Megan Thee Stallion is doing, which is what I'm gonna say. You know what I'm saying? Then that shows that the generation is getting more and more removed from the foundation of what our principles and morals are really are. You know, it's really sad, man. We got mothers out here that like, you know, they just want the mothers want their mothers to watch the children so they could go out and twerk in a nightclub. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how many grandmothers right now that's alive right now that feel like they mothers, like they feel like they grandkids is they kids. Cause the mothers of the kids ain't doing what they supposed to do as far as being a mother. So now they putting all of the it's so like that's a whole nother documentary somebody should do. Talk with these grandmothers that are really behaving like mothers to their grandkids. And that's not how it's supposed to be. That's first of all, that's cheating the goddamn grandmother because the grandparents are supposed to step into their natural role being a grandmother. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole different role and different responsibilities come along with that. But when the grandmother has to take on the responsibilities of the mother because the mother is lacking, you know what I'm saying? Then ultimately the child is the one that suffers. You know, so we got to think about these things as well too. Like I don't have children, but I witness it, and it's like it's really getting sad, family. So, like I was saying, man, yo, Priestess, we gonna bring Priestess up here to get into because I just be sitting. Sometimes I just go when she closed and I just sit down and we just chop it up and have a cipher and a reasoning and we just kick it about stuff and like, yo, she's solid, man. So we gonna bring some more people. We're gonna start getting back to bringing our guests on the show. But yeah, man, it's real. Let's get out here. You know what I'm saying? Just live honorably, man, and really respect those warrior women that came before us, man. We got a few minutes left. Y'all want to touch on something before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that too because truth is truth, and that's why I opened up the show with reclaiming our birthright. You got to get back on path. Grandmothers are not supposed to step in. As you said, we're supposed to be the guiders, period, of the family. Grandmothers, grandfathers, they're the guide. You know, what's that song by the OJs? Family reunion?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What's the role of the grandmother and the grandma to be the guide?
Yep.
And too many, especially grandmothers, taking the role of being a parent. I tell you, go sit down in family court. Go ahead, please take a day and sit down there if you want to see the shenanigans that go on. So that's why I said in the beginning, although black men are the victims of white supremacy and racism, the target is black women. Because once you break the black woman, the black family is destroyed. Period. And that's the problems that we're having today. Brother Tad?
I mean, you hit on some valuable points because a lot of times, you know, and again, I don't practice the separation of races, but we really got to take a critical look at it. You know, the sisters are the first teachers. I mean, experience is the best teacher, but mama is the first teacher. And what are the lessons being passed down? And I'm glad Brother Ashe brought that up. And you know, you back them up with that because a lot of times I try to have serious conversations with sisters, but it always turn around. It's the brother's fault. It's the brother's fault. As if brothers aren't being incarcerated in mass at large numbers, as if brothers aren't being gunned down in the streets. So when we talk about absent fathers, we can't talk about their absence, but not address the reason why they're absent. You know, mass incarceration is real. Death of black men in our community is real because a lot of these guys that are being murdered aren't just young people with no children. This is somebody's father. You know, this is somebody's son. But somehow within our community, we compartmentalized and made a separation amongst each other. Oh, the women over here and the brothers over there and the children over there, when it's actually a community. Come in unity. That's what we're supposed to do. Each of us got a role to play. Each of us got a part. But we run around with this individualistic idea that's been given to us by Western society. So we run around like chickens with our heads cut off. All the chicks trying to go to Dubai, all the dudes trying to go to the strip clubs, and the children just out here by themselves running them up. And everybody's pointing a finger at each other as opposed to taking personal responsibility for what is going on in our community, saying, how can we work together? But instead, we like to play the blame game, and then wonder why people don't deal with us on the level that we feel people should deal with us on. But we're not on the level we like to think that we're on, if that makes sense. My point is that what Ashe said, sisters running around here talking about, I'm a black woman, respect me, but don't demonstrate levels of self-respect. Some brothers are out here talking about respect me, when they don't demonstrate levels of self-respect. And self-respect shows up in your behavior. And when you take responsibility for those things that you are in charge of, case in point, you're in charge of your children. So take responsibility of that. You're responsible for the maintenance and well-being of your parents and elders. Take care of that. You're responsible for your significant other. Take care of that. And then you're responsible for the community. Take care of that. That's self-respect. People can't sit in their pseudo ivory towers and point fingers at what's wrong with this one, what's wrong with that one, because you point a finger, three back pointed at you. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's very important that we do address this because, when we were organizing for black families, people were telling us we was being misogynist, we was being crazy. And all we saying is black man with a black woman to create black children. And it ain't just for the sake of creating a black child. It's for restoring black families that are being broken in the society and give them, I don't want to say new values, but an ancient value system that's proven to have worked. So it's new to these modern folks because it's so far gone from making sense to them. Two mommies, two daddies, or no mommy and no daddy. Just child, I raised myself. Like, who do you look up to? I don't look up to nobody. I look up to me. Like, that is not who we are. And that's not realistic because everybody gets in whatever idea you think you have, it's influenced by something else. We are all influenced by other people, whether it's good or bad. And we have to acknowledge that and do some real soul searching as to who we are before we could be in healthy, productive relationships, before we could ask a woman to take our hand in marriage, before a sister decides she wants to date a dude, she got to make sure that this is the right dude. What is his moral value system? Because I really feel, Sister Keisha, Brother Ashe, that's what's really missing out of our community is our value system. We have lost that. So now we value Birkin bags, Gucci bags, Louis bags. We value trips out the country. We value red bottom shoes, but we don't value each other. And then wonder why things are the way they are. So I'm saying that as a community, we got to get back on our dean. The mother is the first teacher. She's the original teacher. And we got to make sure that the teacher got the right information. That's why I value you so much, Sister Keisha, because of what you bring. You bring the femininity, but also the rawness, the sternness of a black mother that I don't see too much no more. I see a lot of sisters trying to be their children's friend as opposed to the nurturer, the guide, and the disciplinarian. And now the message is getting confused. So the children are going to respect you because you got down to their level as opposed to bringing them up to yours. So now they just grown kids, 30 and 40-year-old children that are emotionally unstable, don't demonstrate no level of emotional intelligence, don't have a proper frame of reference for complex situations that we find our community in. So with that being said, family, I'm going to wrap it up. I definitely want to thank all the sisters that's tuning in. I always got to thank my sister Keisha. Definitely peace to my mother, Peaches Cromwell. Peace to my grandmother, Bernice Bookman. Special love and shout out to my grandmother who's still with us, Celia Cromwell. And my great-grandparents. Shout out to Queen Mother Moore, Dr. Frances Cress Wilson, and all the other warrior queens that came before us, that have shown us the way, that have took the hard road so it could be just a little bit easier for us, And hopefully you're inspired tonight by what you heard. So now it's your turn to go out and inspire others. So y'all stay up, stay blessed, stay true, and remember, no matter how hard things may seem right now, it's always better days ahead. Brother Ashe.
Yeah. Man, look, please, family, just go pick up the photo album. You know what I'm saying? Go through the family tree. Look at the women in your lives, the people that you have now and the people that you had before that transition. Just look at them, call their names, like honor them and honor them by being a better you. You understand? Like Ty said, they were the first teachers. Now they can only do as much as teach, but the application, walking in those lessons and putting on for what they told you is how you honor them. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta get out here and apply these teachings. You know, if not for yourself, for the next generation, because unfortunately we have to put on and inspire and teach a new generation of mothers. And as brothers, we have to create the environment where these new generation of mothers can feel comfortable to be their true African selves and stand on morals and principles. You know what I'm saying? So that's the job that we have. That's our task. That's Keisha like to give homework. That's the homework I'm giving, family. Reflect on the women in your family. You know what I'm saying? Their strengths, and try to implement those in your life. It's your brother Ashe S.J. signing out. Always remember, true courage is knowing how to suffer, and the battlefield is where you stand. Sister Keisha.
Thank my brothers for always bringing me balance in this realm of broadcasting that we have embarked on. Shout out to Christine Williams, a new subscriber. I'm glad you enjoyed the information. And please do like and subscribe and share with people in your circle. We definitely appreciate you and appreciate that. As we come upon Mother's Day, remember that we were the first. We are the first. We will be the last. We are the blueprint of what womanhood is. We have to stand firm on that square and not be afraid to shout it through the mountaintops what womanhood is, what the definition of a woman is. Nobody can give that but us. Be careful in your approach to life as women, because your approach to life sets the tone for the world. I don't have to shout and scream my philosophies or belief systems. My presence alone lets you know the type of woman that I am. We have to all identify who we are and what we are and live that. I want to give a special shout out to my Aunt Gwen and my Aunt Pauline in this critical time. Keep my family in your thoughts and prayers. Tonight, we're going to close out with a clip from a scene in A Different World. I believe it's episode 2, season 2, episode 22 or 24. But in this clip, explains the power of Black motherhood and Black women. Good night, y'all.
Yeah.